Authors at Google New York are very pleased to welcome James Briscione and Brooke Parkhurst as they introduce their new cookbook, Just Married and Cooking. Here we go.
Yay, here we are.
Thank you guys for coming and enjoying your lunch hour with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I actually love this format because I think you guys are helping me prove a point right now. Brooke never believes that I can pay attention to her while I'm working on my laptop at the same time, and I think you guys are going to prove that point. Help me prove that point today, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm James, my wife Brooke. We're both New Yorkers, well, currently New Yorkers at least. We both grew up down south. We live here in the city, actually just down the street in the village. And I teach full-time at the Institute of Culinary Education. Some of you guys may know Cooking School up on 23rd Street. And I was one of the sous chefs in the private dining room at Restaurant Danielle before coming to the school to teach. So I've kind of got a chef and fine dining sort of background. And Brooke is a writer and former journalist. And
I moved up here to work for Fox News Channel and quickly decided that wasn't going to be for me. So I transitioned into my real passions, which were writing and food. And I published a novel 3 years ago, Belle in the Big Apple, about a Southern girl moving to New York City. And then I happened to meet this one and was able to take my passion for culinary to a different level because he was patient enough to work with me. And so from that, we began kind of the journey to write this book, which we realized we never set out to write a book for newlyweds. It's something that kind of came naturally because, like we say in the introduction, it's kind of like the mixtape, the foodie mixtape of our lives. It was just, instead of one song after the other that represented moments, it was one recipe after the other that we were cooking for each other in our first year as both parents and newlyweds. Things happened a little out of order. And so we began our big journey with everything at once. So we really had to get in the kitchen because, we couldn't take out an infant, and we had to really get in there and figure out how to make amazing meals for each other and for our tiny family.
yeah, so the book is really it's Just Married and Cooking is really our story. It's certainly a book for everyone. It's not explicitly a newlywed cookbook. I think there's good things in there for every day. It's just for everyone, and it's really just full of lots of great everyday sort of recipes, things things that are really useful. But all of we can point to almost every recipe in that book and remember a time from when we first started dating 5 years ago on up through we pushed send for the last time to our publishers, where we remembered these meals, preparing them together, enjoying them together, or some sort of story. So they're really part of us, and I think the title of the book comes as much from our story as it does kind of mark our intended audience.
And he gets things kind of fancy, or he enjoys doing things fancy from his Danielle background. I kind of bring him down and say, honey, we're not going to make foie gras at home every night. We're not smoking up the apartment. We're not doing country liver pate again. We're not going to have eggs and bacon every day for breakfast. We're going to try to make this a healthy, easy, elegant cookbook for everyone out there. And he also brings kind of a different level of cooking to it. For those of you who are Food Network fans, if you have time to watch the Food Network, I don't know. He was the Food Network 2-time Chop champion. So he loves crazy ingredients, time constraints, lights, cameras. So I have to kind of, tame him down for things like this.
I enjoy the challenge.
He enjoys the challenge.
Like you.
That's right. So what we want to, help you with today or talk to you about or inspire you is, with you and your partners, both of you probably working or with your roommates, whatever it may be, you absolutely can get in the kitchen, let's say 3, 4, 5 nights a week. That's what this book was written for, getting you in the kitchen. And we think a great place to start actually is page 45 in the book, and that is our after work apps section. And it was we love happy hour. Of course, New York has amazing happy hour, especially this time of year. We love going out for little bites to eat, great glasses of wine or cocktails. Not only can that add up, but sometimes it's just nice to chill out in your house, especially for any of you who have children. You kind of have to get back. You have to get back to the nanny, get back to the babysitter. or just get back because you want to see your little one. So why not do that happy hour yourself, throw your own happy hour at home? It's also a great motivator if you're not quite into the cooking thing yet. You have this amazing cafeteria. I would never bring my own lunch. I don't blame you. I would never be packing an egg salad sandwich. I would be enjoying the food truck and everything else. But with the apps, it's great because you can make them the night before. It kind of coaxes you to come back home, enjoy a drink and an hors d'oeuvre, and it gives you a little bit to go on and to actually cook your meal that night. Because if you are coming home, you and your partner, you're starving. You want food then. And so if things aren't prepared for you, you're going to forget, you're going to scrap your idea of cooking, right? And you're going to head straight for the takeout menu. So this way, you're going to have a little bit in your belly, you're going to be happy, maybe a glass of wine, and then you're going to move on and you're going to think about cooking dinner.
Yeah, so as you look through those recipes, they're all really, really simple. I mean, it's the idea is that you could make any of these in 30 minutes on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday, or whenever you had a little bit of time. And they're all made to keep really well in the refrigerator. So whether it's having a little happy hour, having some friends over to your apartment after you get off work, or like Brooke was saying, just knowing that you've got something ready to eat when you get home, so you won't stop at the deli, so you don't stop off somewhere and just grab some food on the way home. It's a little something to kind of nibble on to keep you going while you actually make your dinner. And that's typically what we always try to do, because we're both very busy and running, and if I'm at school and Brooke's working, and then with the baby, and we're both kind of running around in different places, really that end of the day is one of our few chances to be together. During
Who doesn't love 5
the day.
o'clock? Let's be honest. 5 or 6 o'clock. It's the time to have a drink. So you might as well have something delicious to eat with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, kind of finding that reason or that excuse or that motivation to get home and cook your own meal and start your own meal, I think that's one really great way to help yourself get into the mode of doing it, is to already have something ready to eat that's simple and satisfying, but enough to keep you going. And then another.
Is this on? Yeah. I was just going to ask, sorry to interrupt. So tell us about when you come home from work. What should we have in the house like now? It's early spring and it's 5 o'clock, and I know that when I go home from 5 to 7, I can't think.
Right.
So how can we prepare to come home for the blind spot between 5 and 7? What would be a good thing to have in the pantry, have handy, so that we don't have to run to the deli to? Because that's why I end up with an empty refrigerator, and then that's when the pizza arrives.
Perfect. You took me right into our next tip, which is to, you guys have our great location here. We spend a lot of time at Chelsea Market shopping there. The shops there are fantastic. Another great motivator to get home and cook something is just go buy something, right? Whether it's whatever looks good and is beautiful and seasonal right now. Certainly asparagus is everywhere, and asparagus is beautiful, and they have New Jersey asparagus at the Manhattan Fruit Exchange right now. I was just there yesterday and saw it, and it's just perfect. But I think if something that you really love, one ingredient that you really, really like, go buy it and just put it in your fridge, even if you don't have a plan for it, because then as you start thinking about it in there, as you're working, you're like, wait a second, asparagus recipes. Let's it's kind of funny saying, but yeah, let's Google it and find a great asparagus recipe. So you start thinking about it, and then you also are like, wait a second, I just spent $5 on asparagus. I'm gonna spend another $5 on a sandwich and let that asparagus go bad. I better figure out something to make with it and get it home. This really is I don't know. I feel like I say this every season. This is my favorite time of the year to cook. I think whenever the seasons change and new stuff becomes available, I always get really excited.
But there's so much right now: strawberries, asparagus, little spring onions,
peas and carrots. Turnips are one of my favorite things in spring that I think a lot of people don't think about. I usually think about it as more like a hardy winter vegetable, but you get these little beautiful white turnips that are about this big. They're like radish size, and we have those over there at the Chelsea Mart, at the Manhattan Fruit Exchange right now. But it's so much fun, here in New York to go and visit all of our green markets and just walk around. And That's where so many of the recipes in our book came from, was just from sort of wandering around the green market, grab a couple
What
of
was
ingredients.
fresh, what we felt like that day. But there is that 5 to 7 o'clock period where you could go either way. So it's great if you have those stalks of or spears of asparagus just waiting for you, maybe a half dozen farm eggs, and you could do just a fried egg on top of blanched asparagus, with a little bit of pecorino on top. I mean, something super, super simple.
And it'd have to have some ham or bacon too.
Ham or bacon too. He puts bacon in everything. There's no getting around that. And then also we get asked about the necessary kitchen equipment. There really is so much out there.
Before we move on to that, I would just say one other thing on kind of that keeping you going or helping you do it at from 5 to 7. What we often do is if we're making something, we make a lot of it. So if we were going to grill or roast some chicken breast or roast the whole chicken, we might do 2 whole chickens. We might do 6 chicken breasts, even though there's really only 2 of us. And then you have great, good, tasty grilled chicken just sitting in your fridge, and it's so easy to make a quick salad or to toss it into a pasta or to
don't cook for one night. Cook for 3 nights. Cook in larger portions, and then actually our next book is about kind of transforming each night something that you've made the first night. So you have this one kind of base recipe, and then by adding fresh produce and new spices, it's transformed each day without a lot of muss and fuss. My mother did cook 7 nights a week, my entire childhood, bless her, but she was in the kitchen all the time, and we just don't have that luxury nowadays.
That's another full-time job to
Right.
to do that. So don't fool yourself and think you have to do like they do on TV and whip something up completely from scratch every single day. Kind of embrace that ability to use something, to utilize and make the most of it. If you are just cooking for 1 or 2, that one bunch of asparagus may be more than you're going to eat in one night. So blanch all of your asparagus, meaning throw it in boiling salted water to get it just cooked through, and then throw it in some ice water so it stays bright green. But so you might have that with a fried egg and some ham or bacon, one night for dinner. But then the next day you may chop it up and toss it with some pasta and feta cheese and
mint and peas, make a great fresh pasta salad.
Which is in there somewhere.
Which is in the book.
Grilled chicken, and grilled chicken. So kind of toss that. But there's always something in our refrigerator. And
that inspires us to create it, to get in there and cook. It's never just champagne and mustard.
No, it's at least orange juice and for our daughter. Juice and bananas and yogurt.
But the next thing also in the beginning, we have a list of kind of can't miss, gotta have kitchen appliances. I think it's so overwhelming walking into a Williams-Sonoma, and the store is so beautiful. And we were there cooking last night. Yesterday we cooked on the Today Show. And then in the evening, we did a signing and demo at Williams-Sonoma, and I could have left with $5,000 worth of fun, beautiful kitchen gear. Aside from having no space in our tiny apartment, there's really no purpose, especially for starting out cooks. We kind of have a top 10 list of fun, can't miss, kind of inexpensive things, right? He first taught me about something as simple as kitchen tongs. When you are blanching your asparagus, how are you going to reach in and get them? All these things I think can be intimidating. Oh my God, I'm going to burn myself. I don't know how to get it out. Am I going to pour the whole pot of water out? No, you have these really simple tools that he's been using all of his, your professional life in kitchens that the home cook might not think to use and that make your life so much easier. We love just a good set of tongs, a good microplane zester for grating garlic. People get intimidated by how to properly chop up garlic. They don't want to do it. You get a microplane zester. They get intimidated by these $600 knife sets. Don't buy a 7-piece knife set. Go out and get one good, lightweight Japanese blade chef's knife, or maybe 3. Jamie favors 3. A paring knife, a chef's knife, and a serrated knife. But that's really all you need in the beginning. So I think the less you spend in the beginning, the less likely you are to be let down, because it's not like you've made this $5,000 investment and things aren't turning out perfectly. You've made a small investment, you're learning, you're working, and you can always add on. The one thing we think you should invest in is a good Cuisinart. For a lot of our dips and the after-work apps, you're going to need a Cuisinart. For a lot of great soups, for making homemade pestos that are going to keep throughout the week to toss with pasta and chicken when you come home at the end of the day, that's definitely something worth investing in. But there are really very few things. A great wooden cutting board. Go across to Bowery Trading Company, what is it called?
Bowery Kitchen Supply.
Bowery Kitchen Supply in Chelsea Market. Get a great $50 cutting board and kind of start from there, right?
Right.
Another thing that we say is don't try to make filet mignon with PB&J skills. Think about what your skill level is. You're starting off, obviously you have the perfect book for that, but when you're looking at Epicurious or you're looking online and you get stars in your eyes and we all want to be Mario Batali and you pick a really, really difficult recipe and maybe it's the second thing you've really ever tried to cook by yourself, it's probably not going to turn out to be fantastic. So why don't you start in our book with the skirt steak with scallion potato cakes. Skirt steak is inexpensive. You mess it up. Okay, you wasted $5. Say you had bought a bone-in ribeye for $4. You mess that out, you're out $85. Chances are when you mess up the ribeye, the next thing you're going to do is get takeout. You mess up a skirt steak, you might go out and buy a second skirt steak and try it out. So the less, like I said, with all of this, the tools, the food, the less, I think monetarily you invest in the beginning, the likely you are, I think, to succeed and kind of continue.
It all takes practice. I mean, just like anything, I think, to get good at anything in life, you gotta do it. So, don't be fooled by TV that makes it all look so easy, and they wave their hands around, pull something up underneath the counter, and be like, yeah, it's just that easy. It's not always just that easy. It's not necessarily that hard, but it takes a little practice. It takes some doing. I was very fortunate kind of throughout my career to be able to make a lot of mistakes. Starting out cooking, and actually I started out as a dishwasher when I was 16 years old and kind of worked my way up through the ranks. And as a teenager cooking, I got to work in a place where we were always allowed to make ourselves lunch with, we weren't, able to pull out the good steaks and just grill those off for ourselves, but pretty much anything else we could, when we had the time, we could make ourselves whatever we wanted to eat. And I was getting really into cooking, and I was reading a lot, and I would go through books, and I kind of see all these things and sort of remember them and then go try to do them the next day at work. And I remember the first time I ever tried to make risotto, I made it with orzo pasta. So I just didn't know the difference. I remember it ended in O, and I was like, that's pretty much the shape. Yeah, I think this is it. So my first batch of risotto ever was made with pasta.
Rice.
And I learned from there. The chefs were like, okay, it tastes good, but this is not risotto. It's not even close. First of all, it's rice, not pasta. And, we went on from there, and just making mistakes and kind of expecting some mistakes and knowing it's not always going to be perfect, but you kind of enjoy it anyway and have fun with the process. And I think that's for us one of the most important things is just having fun with it and enjoying the process and going through it together. And
it's great at the end of the day. I think we're all really prone to, maybe y'all aren't, maybe it's your computer, but get in front of the television, zone out, kind of stick one person with chef duty while the other gets to relax. Well, you really can relax together in the kitchen. Pour yourselves a glass of wine, get in there, learn together, be a little creative, use our recipes as kind of the base, and then throw in your favorite things. But try to use that space as something fun and not a chore, which cooking definitely can be, or it can seem like it is, if you have bad recipes. But if you have fantastic recipes that are going to turn out great time and again, you're going to enjoy it.
I hope so. Do you have a question?
So, do you have any suggestions for if you have like a disparity between the cooking skills? Like,
you're really good and your boyfriend's really bad.
My husband is really bad, and I don't want to be like in there being like, no, don't do it like that. You're gonna chop your fingers off, or you're overcooking something. I don't want to be like the kitchen, meister. But at the same time, I also really don't want to eat burnt food.
That's a good question, and one for him since he is by far better than I am. He's the chef, I'm the cook.
Yeah, I mean, we say whenever you're trying to cook together and work together, always play to your strengths.
But if there are no strengths,
But if there are no strengths, what do you do? I think it's the same thing. Kind of start out small. So just kind of give them little things to do.
That clove of garlic in the microplane zester that you've just gone out and bought, and just tell him to grate it, or give him the block of cheese in the box grater.
Now, is he really ambitious? Does he want to do it all?
Or just more than you let him?
No, I mean, he definitely wants to help. He doesn't want me to just be the only person, like, cooking and doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's
And
great
he
that he
gets
wants to.
excited about stuff. He's successfully managed a couple things. However, it takes, like, 4 times as long to be necessary, which is great on a Saturday, but, Tuesday night. I can't wait until 10 o'clock.
Well, this is, I guess, when prepping, no one likes to hear it, but when prepping ahead, and this is one of our big pieces of advice no one wants to hear, is, the night before, kind of clean your vegetables or trim your meat or, dice things. In the chefs, in the culinary world, mise en place, getting everything kind of like restaurant chefs do. So if you're really excited about this Wednesday dinner y'all are going to make, say, honey, well, maybe, you should get Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night after we finish dinner, before we even clean up, let's just we'll go ahead and have the stuff, and we can chop up some of the stuff for Wednesday, and then you can go sit down and relax and let him take an hour and a half to chop an onion.
But that is great. You don't want to squash. We also teach couples cooking classes at ICE, so if you want to sign up for one of those, y'all can come on.
Bring him in. I'll help straighten him out.
Some of that is
we'll
the
get 'em
fundamentals
going.
of cooking, like properly cutting an onion, properly doing garlic, things like that. You do need to learn once and learn them well to move on.
I think really learning some base knife skills is really, really important. And like Brooke said, we do the couples classes up at ICE, up at the school, and they are a lot of fun, and it's kind of a fun thing to do. And then you can just sort of stand back and be like, see, I told you that's what you're supposed to do. I told you. Don't overdo it, but some base knife skills that I think once you get it down and kind of learn how to do it and understand how to use a knife properly and how to chop things up properly, it really makes the process more enjoyable. Because sometimes that's like the hard, tedious part. And if it takes you an hour and a half to chop an onion, then you're not going to be real motivated to do much else. But when you learn those things, and they're again, it's just something that takes some practice. But the skills, the concept of the skills is really quite simple. Does anybody else have? Yeah, please.
Do you have maybe in your book anything child-friendly recipes, or if a child can participate? Are they simple enough for?
Well,
I think a lot of them
yeah,
are.
they definitely are. Our daughter is not quite there yet. She's just turned 2.
How old are yours?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah, okay, so she can.
Yeah, you know what? I think there's.
Our Everyday Dinners chapter is just great. It's these, weeknights that we're talking about. I think Everyday Dinners is, very simple in general, that chapter, to look at for these kind of recipes that you can make with a
the
child.
soups and sandwiches. There's some soups and sandwiches and a few salads in there that I think are really good. A lot of them, a lot of times we're using the salads like shaved cheese, where you just take the vegetable peeler and peel the cheese, and I think those are grating cheese and doing those kind of things are always good things for kids, and of
Things
course
without heat.
yeah, I think stirring and mixing is always good. So in the breakfast chapter, some of the things like pancakes and muffins and,
right.
and those kind of things, and it's actually a really great healthy muffin recipe in there, which we were just thinking we just had a bout of sickness in our house, and our daughter was a little sick and wasn't really wanting to eat much. And I was thinking we need to make, she loves cookies, of course. And as long as we tell her it's a cookie and it's a little bit sweet, she's convinced and will go for it. I was actually just thinking we need to make a batch of muffins, because they're very healthy, but they're a little sweet and they're pretty satisfying.
The
in the
granola in
morning.
here also, I love my granola recipe, girls. And that's a lot of fun. Throwing in, I guess, the different nuts, coconut, dried fruit, mixing it. That's a lot of fun.
I think, and
You can't go wrong. You can put in, more fruit than you need and more seeds. And
have you found that your child, boy or girl?
My daughter.
Your daughter. Is she more interested in eating when she gets to help you out with it?
Oh, she likes to help out, just
Yeah.
in general. She usually does the baking. She
Right.
doesn't
That's
do
great.
the skeleton thing or like anything with stove related.
Right.
But I'm thinking if I want her to be more healthy eater at least.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm thinking to be involved more in the dinner cooking. She might be.
Definitely. I think.
the spring pasta, actually, we were just talking about, the penne with the asparagus, mint, peas, feta, has a lot of great greens in it. It's very seasonal. It's perfect for right now. Let me find the page. That could be a lot of fun, I think, for a little one.
Yeah, and that's a lot of you could do all the stuff at the stove, cook the pasta, cook the peas. It's all just boiling water. So you put one big pot of water, throw your pasta in, get it cooked, throw it in the colander,
It's
toss it with
page
some
90
oil,
in your book, the spring pasta.
and then drop the asparagus and the peas into the boiling water, scoop them out, let them all cool a bit, and then put them in a bowl. And then you're going to toss it with some mint and some vinegar and feta cheese and some scallions. You just kind of toss all that together. So you could kind of have all of those things separate, and then let her add them in and mix it up and crumble up the cheese. Those are great things like for little hands to do. And I think that's and lots of beautiful fresh spring vegetables that are all really, really great right now.
Do y'all cook a lot? Do y'all, when you go home, or you're trying to? He
I
says
don't-
no. She says
I don't know
yes.
how. I don't know how you could working here. I don't know that I ever would. It's a very nice setup you guys got here. I'm pretty
Definitely.
jealous. I just want a scooter to ride around. I could get one push before I bump into a wall in our apartment. That's at our office.
So, tell us about how you would cook for a small family for a special occasion. I mean, a special occasion with adults would be the big ribeye or whatever, but now we have little kids and not so much time. And how do you suggest planning that day? Because sometimes to cook for, like, you have another couple, their little kid coming over on Saturday. You need about 3 to 4 hours maybe to prep. How would you divide up that 3 to 4 hours? Would you do it so everything is ready when they show up? Or would you perhaps include the other family in so that all of you are working? What are your thoughts on that?
I think first and foremost, in those 3 or 4 hours, you really should, shop a different day. Go ahead, fabulous location. You're right here, Chelsea Market. After work one day, go and get all your produce, your groceries, right? So that's already taken out of that prep time. Then, yes, we actually, and the book is divided into 2 sections, which we haven't even talked to you about. There is Life as We Know It, which is a lot of these everyday type foods. And the second section is New Traditions, about you and your partner and your little family, maybe, starting new traditions of your own, not just Christmas or Hanukkah and Thanksgiving, but new ones. And in several of these menus, we talk about getting your guests involved, because that can be really fun. We do love doing pizzas at home, homemade pizzas. We do, whole wheat flour crust. We use a lot of fresh veggies. Yeah, pizza, very fun for the little kids to stretch and knead the dough.
Squish out the dough.
We talk about, and one in the back, in our Brussels sprout salad with a great homemade pesto, about everybody helping, clean the Brussels sprouts.
That's one of my favorite menus and recipe kind of occasion ideas from the second half of the book. What did we call it again?
New Traditions,
New
honey.
Traditions. Right. It's the menu's called the Holiday Getaway from the Family, because
When you go home.
Christmas time, and typically for us it means going back home to where the parents are.
Page 299 in the book.
And usually mom or aunts or uncles, somebody is still going to be hosting the big holiday dinner. And when you've been home for 3 or 4 days and you've pretty much had all you can handle of family and you're ready to just kind of get away from them and get together with your friends, this is like a really fun menu to do, with friends. Of course, very seasonal, kind of primed for November, December. And the idea is that you have this great salad made with Brussels sprouts. And
It's a
kind
sweet
of
potato and
tedious.
Brussels sprout salad with Parmesan pecan pesto.
It's kind of tedious to pick all those Brussels sprout leaves, and it would take you a while to do it. But we say just have a batch of cocktails made, and when all of your friends get together, give everybody a bowl of Brussels sprouts and have them pick the Brussels sprout leaves
Make them work for it.
while you guys catch up and chat and sip your cocktails, so then you're ready to go. So I think there's kind of two ways to go about it, and it depends on what you're making. Either
The key is that we
get
teach in our
everybody
classes,
involved.
though. You want to get them involved, but don't actually think they want to make it from start to finish with you, like when you have this pizza party. You don't actually give them a cup of water, flour, and to make the dough. You want to have a lot of it prepped ahead. It's just going to be easier and more enjoyable for everyone. So to answer Kate's question directly, what would we say? Be well prepared.
Yeah, be well prepared. One of my favorite things, one of the things we always teach in our cooking classes up at ICE is, like a lot of times it's nice that we in the menus we always do one seafood and one meat, whether it be pork or chicken or beef or whatever, as part of a dinner party menu. And one of the great tricks is, being in New York City, at least us, and if you cook fish in your apartment, you're going to know for a while. Most people in your hall are going to know you cooked some fish. That smell can just kind of hang, for a while. So a great trick for doing, fish for a dinner party or having friends over is actually just sear the fish on one side, get a really nice brown, in the pan, and then take it out and put it onto a baking pan. Other side completely raw. Right, that will give, and then you can light some candles and open the windows and turn on the fan and kind of clear out the apartment. And then when you're ready to actually have your dinner, when you're ready to serve, all you have to do is throw that tray of fish into the oven. It takes about 5 minutes. If the oven's at like 400, 425 degrees, the fish will be cooked through perfectly. It'll have that beautiful, it won't look like, sad baked fish. I would say cafeteria food, but you guys don't have sad cafeteria food here. It'll look like a beautiful, roasted, perfect piece of fish, but you're not going to deal with the smell. You're not going to deal with the oil splatter and all of that mess. And pre-cooking things is such a great
That's a
thing
chef's,
to do. And that's
trick. You do in the restaurant all the time.
What most restaurants do. And the reality of it. And you think about when you go to a restaurant and sit down and order a bowl of risotto, and 8 minutes, a bowl of risotto is at your table. Well, start to finish, that's a 35-minute process. So the risotto is 75% cooked,
In the morning.
halfway, in the morning, midday, and then it's cooled down and held in the refrigerator. And then when you order it, they just heat up a pot and finish it off and send it out to you. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. We kind of always have this romantic image of all these
Fresh
beautiful things
out.
being made from scratch. And
In the moment, but no, it's
pre-cooking,
prepped ahead.
pre-cooking things, having things prepared, like we said, having things ready in your fridge, is really a wonderful
Another
way
great
to go
thing.
about it. And it's reality, I think, for all of us, and kind of the way we live our lives and the time constraints that we have for cooking and working these days.
I think it's also really fun when you have people over, and we think it's very easy to have, bottles of wine. Girls love wine. We love to get together with the girls, eat cheese, crackers, drink wine. It's great. In the book, we have several chapters dedicated to cocktails, house drinks. And if you're on a budget, it actually works out to be more economical to make great house cocktails. If you think about a person's going to have, each guest is going to have 2 or 3 glasses apiece, think how many bottles of wine you're going to go through, as opposed to you buy one nice bottle of what would be liquor and you jazz it up with some fresh juices. We love, like right now, our rosemary lemonade, right? Fresh lemonade infused with rosemary and vodka. All of that is so much more inexpensive, and also you get these big points for being a very kind of inventive, creative hostess, when really you're just following our book. But it's a great touch. It's very personal to make those drinks and have those ready instead of just wine. And like I said, it's easier, on the budget also.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So sometimes cooking in New York is really uninspiring, not just because of the budget or the expensive food, but because your space itself is so uninspiring. It's small or ugly or cramped, or you're sharing it with a roommate.
Bad ventilation.
All those things. So I'm wondering if you have any tips about how to make the space itself more appealing so that you want to get in there, whether it be tips on storage, tips on just making it look prettier, keeping it clean. Sometimes I just don't want to go in the kitchen because I don't want to be in there. I don't want to spend 2 hours in that room. So that's why, sometimes getting in the kitchen is just because the kitchen itself is not fun.
I think, first of all, removing clutter from the counters, having nice, clear, clean counters. Are you actually using that toaster oven? Do you actually use the microwave that much? Are you actually using the toast, different little things that perhaps can be moved away so you have this clear, great counter space. What else, honey? Mr. Organization in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm the one
You are.
in charge of that typically. It is really challenging, I think, in New York, and counter space is almost always at a premium. So you just want to do your best to maximize it. We have 2 different size cutting boards that we use, so depending on kind of what's going on and really what we're working on, which cutting board are you even going to pull out? Keeping things really. I mean, it's. I know it's never able to say just keep things organized,
I guess,
but.
do you guys turn on music when you're in the kitchen? Do you decorate? I mean, the last place I think of when I am, at IKEA or Target to pick up the decoration is the kitchen. Do you guys have, photo frames? How do you?
Well, one great thing actually for organization is we have a, what is it called, a knife.
Yeah, the magnetic knife strip.
Knife strip.
The knives hang up on the
So that's
wall.
one less thing also on your counter. There's no block. You have the strip up there. The knives are arranged nicely. The container store, we do love. We do have a really big kind of pantry, so we're lucky for that.
Yeah. We have, just having things accessible, not having to dig through cabinets.
Right.
Which may seem like it goes against what we just said. But actually, in the book here, in the very beginning, there's a list of all the tools you should have and how to use them, and they're organized by where you should store them. So there's things that should be in the drawer. You have one drawer that you pull out that has your peeler and whatever else in it, and then we always keep a little crock or a little container right next to the stove that has mixing tools, a whisk and a spatula and the spoons, and a metal spoon and a wooden spoon, and a little scooper for scooping out boiled, scooping things out of the stove. So like those things that you would tend to use at the stove, are there. And I think I think that's actually a really good guide, and we spend a good bit of time.
It begins on page 5. Keep things.
Putting that together, but having the specific sort of stove tools, keep them by the stove, keep the things in the drawer, keep the mixing bowls, together in one cabinet. And when you can if you can just dedicate a few spaces to that, and don't keep a drawer full of takeout, because you're going to get fresh takeout menus every single day at your apartment anyway. So you don't need to keep them. You don't need a whole drawer dedicated to just those.
Dedicate that drawer to new kitchen tools.
That's right.
But yeah, we love music. I love a glass of wine when I cook. Sometimes.
We're actually really fortunate too. We have a kitchen that just has a little island that looks out over our living room. So
otherwise, our daughter would never see us. If the kitchen were in a different part of the apartment, or if it were closed off, she would never see us. Luckily, we do have an open kitchen to the living room.
We watch her run around and scribble on the pillows in chalk like she was just doing this morning before we left.
Hi.
The thing that I always have trouble with is grocery shopping. Like, I'll go out on Sunday and I'll be like, oh yeah, let me buy these veggies, this looks great. And then I'll come home on a Monday night and I'll be like, I don't want to cook this, I don't know how to make this. And I'll realize I need like 10 other ingredients that I didn't actually buy. So how do you guys like plan out a menu every week, or do you find yourself running out, at the end of the day?
Some things we keep staples, staples in the pantry, which is also at the very beginning of the book after the tools, things that you should have all the time, that then you can kind of just work from and throw in fresh things, in addition to that. So we begin with, a well-stocked pantry, which is, of course, easy to say, but it makes a lot of sense to go ahead, always have not just the flour and sugar, but to have maybe the anchovies for one of our pasta sauces, to always have the chicken broth, have those things, have a very basic spice cabinet. And then what else, honey?
Yeah, and the other thing, I think, don't feel so bound to a recipe. Don't
easy
feel
for
like
him to say.
if you don't have one,
easy for Mr. Chop Champion to say, just whips it up at the last minute.
If you don't
I'm
have,
more like you. I like to follow recipes.
If you don't have 1 or 2 ingredients, it doesn't mean you can't make it. If you don't have a teaspoon of that spice, you can go without it.
Right.
It'll be okay. You can kind of work around those things. But we definitely do plan. I mean, I actually have a list in my back. I'm going right to Chelsea Market as soon as we finish here. I've got a list in my back pocket of things. So, kind of think about what we want to make or what we're going to make, and make out a list. But
and menu planning really is great. If you can just plan out maybe 3 meals, or maybe start with 2, to not be overly ambitious, because you might go out with your girlfriends one night, or you might go out with your husband or boyfriend or whatever else, but have 2 and make sure you get all the ingredients for those 2, and that can be your meal planning, and then you can plan on 2 nights of leftovers. That's already 4 nights covered. And cook that Sunday. That'll last you to Wednesday. Meal planning, it sounds kind of like what a suburban housewife would do, and totally unnecessary and way too organized, but it's great to do, just to have that in your mind. It's already in your head when you're at work or you're walking home or getting on the subway. What am I going to eat? This is all so overwhelming. Well, because you decided on Sunday and you're taken care of until Friday. And like we were talking about with Kate, basically whatever you cook for yourself is going to be more healthful than almost anything you get in a restaurant or takeout. You know exactly what's going into it, whether you're watching your figure or just trying to be healthy. It's great to know everything that's going into your food. Or you can take things out of our recipes, You don't want so much cheese or sour cream that he added. Well, you can take it out and be fine with it. We love our takeout also, but it's just once you get used to eating very healthfully at home, and then you have this takeout food or restaurant food, it's wow, it's so salty, wow, it's so sweet, wow, it's so heavy.
And there's always substitutes. When you get that great Thai recipe that calls for fish sauce, and you're not going to buy a whole bottle of fish sauce just to make one thing one time. Soy sauce is a good substitute. And, you pull out the little packets that you saved up from your sushi takeout for the past 3 months. And
Also, by the way, for these kind of questions, things like this, we have a website by the same name, honestly, and we always answer questions. So for any of you guys, feel free to write us and ask questions like about, I don't have fish sauce, what can I do, Jamie? You can write us, and we'd love to answer all your questions.
Any other questions? I think that would be it. Thank you so much for your time. We really
Great. Well,
appreciate
thank
you
you
guys for
guys.
coming.